Over 9 million Aussies don't even have $1,000 cash. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's check out this article that was sent to me by a viewer from Finder. And, well, I think there are a few telling things in this about how many Aussies don't even have $1,000 in savings as an emergency. Now, I put a poll to the viewers, and the vast majority of those of you watching the channel do have the $1,000, and we'll go through the results a bit later in the episode. But also the demographic of my audience on the channel here, most of you are Australian, many people who are 30s up, and large majority male. And because of the topics that I discuss, we're going to have a lot of people in construction and in professions, so it's not surprising there's a large discrepancy between the data we're looking at here and the viewers of the channel. But if you're perhaps starting out or want to get control of your finances, you don't have $1,000 in savings or cash somewhere that you can get access to. And by cash, I mean money in the bank. Okay, I know during the bushfires, there were some people who had trouble getting access to the money, but $1,000 sitting in an emergency fund somewhere where you're not worried about it. If you need it, you can go to the ATM and get it straight away. That's the same as having some cash on hand. And the reason the $1,000 is important is it's the first step in Dave Ramsey's baby steps, getting out of financial mess. It's about having a small emergency fund set aside just as you get rolling and you start paying down your debt to those small little disasters. And reading through the comments, it was, one viewer had $1,000, then had to buy new tires. We had our fridge broke, or our freezer, something broke recently, and I just jumped online, ordered it, was there the next day, took the old one away, which is actually really good because having that, at least the 1,000 is the first step, and then eventually you grow your emergency fund to should be 6 months, is a stress relief. So let's check out this article here. And now this is from Finder, and thank you to the viewer who sent this to me. So more than 9 million Aussies have less than $1,000 in savings. Hang on, there we go. I mean, that's kind of worrying, but it also shows you, wait till we get a look at who have more than $1,000. There's a huge class divide here in Australia. So this is why when people are going, I don't understand why Aussies can still keep affording to buy houses, because there's people who don't even have $1,000. There's people who have, the average is what, 2/3 of a yearly salary. So that just shows you that's the differences here in Australia. Millions of Australians have less than $1,000 to their name, according to a new research by Finder. Finder's consumer sentiment tracker, 3,214 Australians revealed almost half, 45%, have less than $1,000 in their bank account. Now, I would let's make an argument here that if you have so little means that you don't have that buffer, perhaps you're going to be more anxious just in general. We can see that manifesting in a lot of the arguments that's being put forward in online communities. A lot of leftists that expect the state to come and intervene. A lot of people that want others to take care of them or have a sense of entitlement because they can't take care of themselves. They're terrified. They're living on the edge. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I'm not saying that it's anyone's fault to be in this situation. I'd encourage you to find a way to get out of it because it can, frankly, change your whole life. Just having enough money there. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to have shitloads of money. Okay, it's not going to make all your problems go away. You're still going to have the same stresses and the same worries about everything else. That money one is gone. You don't need that much. You just need enough to be able to, jump last one job to the other and not have to go begging to Centrelink for it. Because Centrelink is not income protection insurance. And I think a lot of people learned that during the pandemic when they never got any welfare their entire life, couldn't work through no fault of their own. The government was saying no. And then they had to deal with the bureaucracy and the Centrelink. It almost makes me argue for UBI, to be honest. Fire the lot of them, shut down the whole department, and just give everyone a negative negative tax. Could you imagine? Imagine the Centrelink workers all getting fired and put on UBI. But anyway, that my point being is it's a stress relief, and it can make life a lot calmer. And maybe that's the fact we got 45% of Aussies in this situation. That explains our politics to a T. That's why so many people are so anxious. The equivalent of 9.4 million people who have very limited funds to fall back on. Shockingly, 1 in 5, 20% admit they have $0 in savings, equivalent to 4.2 million who are completely skint. Yeah, but how many of those are going to be... Well, it depends, I guess, where in your life when you're young, you've got nothing. And then you build up until and then your prime years, that's when you're working in order to support yourself when you're older and to give back when you're older. You know, you kind of go... You go up, and then flat, and then down. Of the 9.4 million who have less than 1,000 on hand, the average bank balance is just $210, barely enough to replace a flat tire. I mean, that's nothing these days. What's a carton of smokes? Hang on, let's Coles carton of smokes. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's so much of that is tax. It's so expensive. Oh, I've got to put my date of birth in. Okay. I've got to put my date of birth in. And I won't do that on camera to hide my the fact that I'm not actually a boomer. I am a millennial, but I identify as a boomer. Whoa! Shit. $50 for a pack. How much for a carton? Oh, boy. So, can you even get a carton of smokes? Do they even have those anymore? Filter and sort by. Let's go highest to lowest. Oh, we can pick our brands. Oh, boy. I've never smoked, but I used to... Peter Stuyvesant, there we go. They're the posh ones. I used to work at Woolies behind the smoke counter sometimes and would have to, be familiar with all of the smokes. I mean, okay, one carton, $470 of Peter Stuyvesant. Wow, come on, let's go. What's Winnie Blues, eh? Oh, but still, so shit. And how much of that is tax, guys? How much of that is tax? See, this is why you shouldn't smoke. It shouldn't be because, if the health doesn't get you, $500 for a carton of smokes. $500 for Winnie Blues. Wow. There you go. Okay. Shit. So, what? 4 packs of smokes? Not even a carton of smokes. That's all I have. Quit smoking, everyone. It's not worth it. Not at that price. $500. If you smoke a carton a week, that's $500 a week. That's $2,000 a year. That's a big chunk of a mortgage. That's $24,000 over a year. It's a lot of money to shorten your life. The research found 3 in 4, 76% of Aussies are stressed with their current financial situation. And that's what I'm talking about. Having enough money to not be stressed. That'll change your life. And it doesn't need to be it's actually, I would argue it's better to do it bit by bit, slowly, rather than to receive a huge windfall, because you always hear the disasters of someone with a huge windfall. However, there's a stark contrast between the haves and have-nots. This is the difference here. The average Australian has a staggering $36,095 in the bank, with the nation's super savers pulling up the national average. This is the class divide here in Australia, guys. This is the difference between those that have savings and means and those that don't. Of those who have more than $1,000 on hand, the average bank balance is a whopping $65,000, 2/3 the average full-time salary in Australia. I mean, okay, cool. I don't know if I'd be keeping that much in cash, but each to their own. Graham Cook, head of consumer research at Finder, said Aussie households are facing tough times. No, not all Aussie households. These guys aren't. At all. Cost of living pressures in Australia is at record high, which is why so many Aussies have no saving buffer, is a huge concern. Well, there's one way you could instantly reduce the cost of living pressure, reduce the fuel excise. Right there. Every good that's transported around the country, every person that has to drive to work, instantly will reap the benefits. But they're not going to do that, are they? Even something as trivial as a flat tire would be too much for many households right now. Yeah, but how many of these households that are struggling with nothing? I mean, you'd be living paycheck to paycheck, wouldn't you? I mean, a lot of them would be younger people who are just building themselves up. It's going to be a bit different if you're in your 20s, you've got no kids, no responsibilities, no mortgage, and you're just building yourself up and you've only got 200 in the bank. That could be part of the journey. I can appreciate that that's a phase you're going through, hopefully. You're down here at the bottom. It's part of life. But if you're middle-aged and this is all you got, and you've got a family and kids, you got to get your shit sorted. You got to look at where the money's going out, and you got to plug those holes. And I've been there. I've seen, in our own financial situation in the past, I remember when I finally took a breather and looked and could see all the money flowing out of these little things. Bit here, bit here, there, bit there, and it adds up. Millions are living pay to pay, with many running out of money long before they run out of month. And this is where you'll see the arguments for financial literacy in education. We need to teach kids that at school. But the kids don't want to learn that shit at school. I remember I was the only one we had some assembly. They go, who wants to, write down what you'd want to learn, what you want to do. And I was the only one that said, accounting and taxation and finance. And no one else was interested. No one gave a shit. They all laughed at bloody Florian. And piling another thing onto the curriculum is just not going to work. There's another article I want to go through, which is, I don't know, it's bullshit, okay? It's how this girl made 170 grand, and we'll have to go through it because I don't know why it's there. I think it's advertising for a property investment business or some crap like that. But it's her father helped him buy a house, okay? That's how my daughter, my 11-year-old, is making money, is rummaging through bottle collection, and then we made the rule, whatever you get gets invested in dividend-paying shares. Fortunately, we're living next to like a share house, so there's like 4 tradies there, and they hit the piss. So my daughter's going through their bins and making good money. I think I'm in a different class, guys. I'm not the one where I can buy my children a house. It's more I can encourage them to go through, bottle collection. Cooks said the data highlights the risk of households struggling with the cost of living crisis. Those lower levels of savings means people are much more likely to have to turn to credit cards, loans, and buy now, pay later products to get by. Well, you also need to do without. You need to learn to do without. And that could be giving up subscriptions. That could be giving up selling things. When we were doing it tough, I sold every single thing I could. If you have a look at the early videos in the channel, that was just around about that time. I looked like a scruffy bastard there. But I sold the iPads. I sold every electronic thing we could just to keep cash flow coming in. Sometimes you have to do it. That's a part of life. So you don't want to turn to any of these things. For us, what was really good was getting rid of all of like the car loans, all of the other loans, consolidating everything, and then getting everything under control. That's the one thing I always miss when we read these type of articles. A lot of people have like a car loan, or this loan, or that loan. Don't go into debt for stuff you don't need to impress people that don't give a shit and you don't care about. Drive a clunker older car, Put off. I know the Tesla fanboys want their iPad on wheels, but wait till you've saved up enough cash to get it. Oh, I'm copping some flack up, guys. Test driving a car isn't going to change my opinion of stupid industrial design. But good on you. Personally, I would rather get a plug-in hybrid because I want the best of both worlds. But to be honest, my next car is going to be a HeiseSays bus because we've got 7 kids. So yeah, nothing sexy going on there. Anyway, back to this. While these products can be great if used properly, they can quickly get out of hand if relied on for everyday expenses. Yes, someone who has less than $1,000 cash is not probably in the situation where they've got enough self-control to manage these well. I know that may offend some people. I'm sure there's some that are going to be perfectly fine, that can manage it and juggle it. I wouldn't risk it. I remember there was one viewer reaching out to me. He did this thing where he got all the, he used his ING card to pay off his house super fast by paying all the bills for all his friends and then using the 30 days before he paid it back on the credit card. And so he was doing the dodge by acting as an intermediary for his friends. And I mean, who's going to go and ask all their friends and work colleagues to pay their bill and you pay them in cash? That's just a pain in the ass. Anyway, back to this. So yeah, I wouldn't be advocating for any of this stuff. I'd be getting rid of the credit card, number one. You don't need it. Cook said Aussies should aim to have 3 months of income saved as a precautionary savings. I mean, he's right. And once you get there, life changes. But getting there is the challenge. Find out what savings you can create in your everyday expenses. $50 shaved off your monthly car insurance bill could create, an extra $600. Yep. He urged Aussies to find ways to increase their income streams to get them closer to their savings goals. Yes. And I mean, you could be doing, what was it, the old Uber on the weekends for a bit of extra cash, ride your car into the ground if you have to, keep the money coming in. I mean, long term, I think it's not going to make you more money. I'd be looking at more skills, more education, more opportunities. I mean, it's challenging because the danger is, particularly I remember during the lockdown period, you had people advertising all these scams and things everywhere, and then people get desperate and they fall for them. So you want to be careful what you go towards. High interest savings account is designed for people who want to build up their savings while earning more interest than a standard bank account. Yeah, okay. So let's have a look at what the HeiseSays viewers say. And we'll bring the results up here. There we go. Let me just adjust this, guys. Brilliant. Can you see that? Let me know in the comments if you can't. I can't change it now. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm looking at, I've got my, 3K or 4K screen down there and the 1080p up here. So, do you have $1,000 cash on hand for an emergency? And we got 1,300 results. The Finder, I think, was 3,000. What was that? It was, what was Finder? Finder 3.2. 3.2. So about a third of the results are Finder. 81% of you have $1,000 cash on hand for an emergency. And I also mean savings there. 19% don't. Don't feel bad if you don't. Make it an aspirational goal to build that up, to have some savings. Have something you can draw upon. I mean, you don't want to have to, sell shares or your Bitcoin or any of your other investments for a $1,000 emergency. Here we go. Will is saying you need to do a survey if you have 1,000 physical cash available for times when the internet is down. I mean, yeah, but then you got it sitting there, and there's a risk someone can nick it. Yes, but since reading only since reading the Dave Ramsey Money book, given away free at my Tweed library, inspired me to pay off my credit card and stupidly overpriced iPhone. That's awesome, guy. Still rent, can't afford to buy. But at the moment, I'm determined not to be in debt ever again unless it's a home mortgage. Yeah, that's it. That there is a lot of stress reduction right there. I even hate the bloody subscription payments. I prefer to do those yearly. I hate the monthly stuff. Every day is an emergency currently. Sorry, let's all be friends. Needs to be $10,000. $1,000 wouldn't fund a sparrow's fart these days. $1,000 is the starting one. It's enough. It's realistically for food and fuel bills, rent and other expenses generally. Have a little buffer. Time where they hand out warnings before you're really screwed. Yeah, it's not an emergency fund. It's a starter emergency fund. Okay? Advanced Dad said no because he's recently had the emergency. My hot water system blew up, So I used the emergency money. There you go. That's what it's there for. That is exactly the reason why you need to have this cash on hand. There you go, 200K in an emergency fund, Aussie man. I don't know if that's an emergency fund anymore. I think that's a boomer cash investment, isn't it? Unless his cost of livings are so high, that's like 3 months of expenses. I mean, good on you for burning through that much in 3 months. You'd be earning good money, but good. I've loads of debt and living paycheck to paycheck. She'll be right. The Aussie motto right there. She'll be right. Yeah. Nah. That'd be a nightmare. Fortunately, I think most people are young and dumb to realize what mess they're in. The real question is, what emergency will $1,000 get you out of? We already learned. A new water heater, replacing tires. Average wage in Australia is 93 grand. If people can't save up less than a week's income within a month, something is very wrong with our society. I think what we have is we've got the difference between those that are earning that average income and those that aren't. Should try to have 10 grand spare these days. Cash, gold, and silver. Gold is worth 900 an ounce, more than what I bought 4 years ago. But the cash I have buys me less than it did 4 years ago. Yes, but to turn your gold into cash, you've got to either go to a pawnbroker, a gold or silver seller, or try and do some sketchy shit on Facebook and get robbed. So you got to keep that in mind. Plenty more than that. I think everyone should have at least 50K aside. And, well, they do. They do. But make sure you've considerably more invested in assets because inflation is about to go psycho. I replied, yes, but I was thinking cash as in money in the bank, not physical paper, yeah. I only keep around 300 to 400 in the actual physical cash generally. I've got to check. I don't think I have any physical cash. I had back when we had the bushfires and the COVID, I had some cash on hand. And I had a big bag of coins. Hundreds of dollars worth of coins, just in case you needed it. And you know what's been happening. Rachel's been nicking them over the years. A little bit here and there to buy chocolate. So there you go. You know, that's the disadvantage of having cash on hand. Your wife will sneak the chocolate and then won't let me have any of the chocolate. Look at all the financial giga chads answering. That's good. Yep. We are a channel of financial giga chads here on the HeiseSays channel, I think. Well, more than that, good. Oh, sorry, I thought you were giving away $1,000 for emergency. Yeah, not going to happen here, mate. I'm not going to give away money. Come on. Yes, I've got a few grand spread across a few accounts. There's also one idea is to separate your banking. You know, maybe have your emergency fund somewhere else. Because if you've got a mortgage and they're worried, there's the really rare risk of the all money's in clause. I wouldn't really worry about it, but it can't hurt. It's also if you have it in your emergency fund in a bank you can't easily access, you're less likely to tap that card when you're at Bunnings, you know, buying the new mower or the new toy. I call bullshit. I know 83% don't have $1,000 cash. Well, no, most of them do. 45% don't. 45 don't. Not unless I sell my boat, but I live in my boat. And last week I had to ask my boss for an advance as I didn't have enough money for the train home after work. You gotta get your stuff sorted there, peanut box. Keep at it. Go without. Here's some controversial advice. Just fast for a couple of days. Save some money that way. Can do it. You'll be shocked. A lot of people would be shocked, honestly. How long, you can go a couple of days with just water. Not if you've got a medical issue, then you've got other problems. But if you're normal, most people do it for health. I should do it again. I got to get back into my diet. Start off with a week fast. But yeah, I don't. Normie. Can you imagine that on like the Tay show? Someone's doing drugs. Meth ain't cheap. Okay, I bet you. Is it cheaper than a carton of smokes, guys? How much of this is tax? How much of these sin taxes are driving people to the more illicit substances that are causing bigger problems? There you go. I mean, these things aren't without consequences, all the taxes we throw on this shit. Okay? $450K, waiting for the crash, need a good deal. You might be waiting for the crash a long time. It may not be worth it. There have been people who've been waiting for the crash, and particularly housing, for decades. That's it. Don't try and time the market. All you can do is get lucky. Do you think all those boomers that bought property and now it's shot up in value, do you think they timed the market? No, they just got lucky. I only have it because we recently downsized and pocketed the difference. Initially thought you meant accessible without going to a bank. I do easily have $1,000 in the bank. Yeah, that's what I meant. No, but I can pawn one of my kidneys. Can you in Australia? I don't think they charge you for that. How far does $1,000 go, though? It goes far. It goes a lot further than not having it. Okay, I know there's probably going to be people here that have never not or can't remember what it's like to not have some money set aside. You got to think back to your uni days when you were such a poor person, it's just struggling by, living, But then again, you're younger and stupider, and you just live off a VB after a party. There's your dinner, it's a bit different. I remember when I was working, it'd be all the trade lunches and the events. That's where you get food. There's one guy who was living in the architect's office. He was working. The boss thought he was doing late nights. He was living there. Should now do a poll on whether people have $5,000 in savings. I only have $890. I'm going to die. No, you're not. You'll be fine. I have 500 bundles of $1,000 for emergencies. Well, I fail. Part-time worker on a DSP. With our unaffordable rent rise last year, cost of living, I only have $1,000 in the bank when my paying goes in. Must be nice to be fit and healthy, work long hours, and save cash. Yeah, it certainly is. You got a nice little wad. 1K doesn't seem like enough to me. I've got 2.5K set aside. The 1K is because of the article. You need to have more than that. You need to have 3 months of money set aside or access to it. I'll come to you and ask for it, and you will gladly give it to me instantly. No. Nah, mate. Sorry. I have $22,000 for emergencies to cover in cash. I have 3 properties I can sell for less money if I need in emergencies. I'm 43, no kids. Houses only have $2,500 each. Spare cash on stand for emergency fix if insurance doesn't cover them. Okay. So oddly, it's doing well. I can't even afford teeth. Try the carnivore diet. Cut out all carbohydrates and sugar, and your teeth could remineralize if you've got a lot of holes in them. That's what Rachel did. And because she was pregnant, she couldn't get some dental surgery. She went back afterwards, and her teeth had remineralized. That can actually happen. Look it up. So, guys, there we go. Let's have a bit of a chat about this one, eh? So it's good to see, but not surprising, that the majority of HeiseSays viewers have $1,000 cash on hand for an emergency. It's concerning that so many Australians don't, and I would argue the anxiety that generates in the lives of those people has led towards the, political shift, shall we say, to greater reliance and dependence and expectation, or shall we say entitlement, of government control, intervention and support. We need a generation of Aussies lifting up to be financially independent to the point where that anxiety is gone. Then we might see a shift in politics. What do you reckon? Anyway, guys, if you're looking for advice on getting out of debt and getting your finances under control, I'd point you towards Dave Ramsey. Watch some of his YouTube videos. Is a great way to get started. And then, Barefoot Investor and all of that lot. There's some pretty good guys out there. As always, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.